What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Jason Horne-Francis and what he will bring to the Port Adelaide Football Club in 2023 and beyond. We know of the mega trade deal now, and thank you everyone for the support on the mega deal trade video that came out just last night. Amazing few weeks, I guess, with the build up to the trade period, linked with so many players: Dunkley, Graham, Rioli, Radaglia, Jason Horne-Francis on the verge of the trade period, and this deal got done in a mega trade between four clubs. Picks, I think it was 2 players, 14 picks, and a whole lot of different drama that unfolded. It was very quick and it was very efficient by the Port Adelaide Football Club and the football department with Jason Cripps, Chris Davies and the team there. So a full congratulations again to those guys and the whole football club. The fans are ecstatic, which now means we turn our head to exactly what these players will bring to the footy club. The Rioli video will be coming out tomorrow, so keep an eye on for that. But for now, let's get straight into it and talk about Jason Horne-Francis and what he'll bring to the Port Adelaide Football Club.
Searching for a friend. He found one in Larky. Now Horne-Francis! Believe the hype!
Firstly, this is a lot better video quality than it is in my car in the car park after work. So appreciate everyone that did watch that video again. But we're going to talk about Jason Horne-Francis coming to Port Adelaide just after a year being drafted at pick 1 for North Melbourne in the 2021 draft. A mega deal, as I said, that got this over the line. He's a once-in-a-generation type player that has been touted by many draft experts and football personnel across the board. He obviously has a link to South Australia, being a South Australian player. We saw him how well he did in South Adelaide's finals run in 2021. To get drafted to North was a massive achievement. He was kind of touted as the big dog at North Melbourne in terms of he is their hopes and dreams, and so much pressure does come with a #1 draft pick. He was clearly the best in that draft pool, no doubt about it, and everyone wanted him as a player. It was going to happen, and he just didn't quite get to the expectation I think a lot of people expected from him in his first year. Now, we've got to remember, 18, 19-year-old kid now, he's still got a lot to learn, still has a lot to develop into, and the way he started the year, he averaged 17 possessions during the year. Obviously, he had a 4-week suspension. Wasn't quite there with his attitude and commitment to the game, and his application wasn't great, which has been, very much heavily on the back of his shoulders in terms of expectation. He is a kid after all. I'm going to look past those aspects and negatives because every player does have their negative, and we've seen that on the Port Adelaide list with many players over the years. What he is going to bring to Port, though, is a lot of midfield depth. Now, he reminds me of a Patrick Dangerfield type, not on also the way he looks with his socks up and his aggressive nature to the footy. He's going to complement so many players in our midfield. I'm talking your Wines, your Butters, your Rosies, your Bokes, Willem Drew, Houston's going to run through there. He's going to create opportunities up forward for players, and I'm going to speak about how Rioli is going to impact this as well in Rioli's video. But the way he can play, he's so powerful, he's so unique around the footy. He can burst from packs, which is great, but he also can get his contested ball game up and running, which we've lacked that kind of player. We've had those contested aspects of the game with your Wines and Power Peppers around the contest, Lockie Jones, Boak. We haven't exactly had that speed and pace, which Rosie has brought in. But we haven't had the player that's had both combined. And this is what Jason Horne-Francis is. He's that key player that will combine both. And every midfield has one. I speak of Dangerfield. I speak of the likes of a Josh Kennedy type from Sydney. He was that type of player. I'm speaking your Patrick Cripps players. These guys that have these tendencies to go forward and kicks big 3 or 4 goals in a game, but also have 30 touches. We haven't had that exactly consistently in a Port Adelaide outfit. It's always been one or the other, and that's what Horne-Francis has in his DNA to develop into. He has Horne-Francis signed a deal that will link him with Port Adelaide till the end of 2028. So a 6-year deal to keep him at the club. He'll be 25 at the time, so massively in his prime. Who knows what he can develop it to into then. I talk about the mental aspect and the application and the attitude. This commitment to a football club in a fresh environment. I know he was only at North for a year, but when you have so much expectation in a club that's in dire straits at the moment, they're at the lowest of lows in an awful period for the football club. We were like that in 2011-12, coming out of it, and we picked up Ollie Wines, and it was supposed to be, why is Ollie leaving? Going to leave the football club after 2 years if he's coming to Port. The family was crying and everything like that. Horne-Francis obviously didn't commit to North Melbourne in that kind of way. But when you come to a fresh environment and you don't know what to expect, I think it's going to do massive wonders. He's going to have expectations at Port Adelaide. He's going to get that commitment from the club back to him. He's going to get that care and that nature. You're going to be surrounded by blokes like Wines, like Travis Boak, like Tom Jonas. These players are going to be taking care of him. Charlie Dixon, these leaders, big leaders at the football club. He's not going to be the big dog at Port Adelaide. He's a key component now with his name and the expectation that come with him as an individual. But in terms of player status, he's nowhere near the top 5 in terms of big dog status. So that's going to help him with his mental state. He can play his way he'd love to. He can commit the way he can, but also he's going to get that heritage teaching. He's going to buy into the history of Port Adelaide and become a Port Adelaide player. And it comes with expectation to be that, obviously with the wonderful fan base that we've got. But in saying that, he's going to have that, and that's going to be a mental change for him. That's going to be for the better. He's going to have a positive aspect, positive nature. We know that Ken Hinkley definitely has the tendencies to bring the best out of a young crop of playing group. We've seen that with the Rosie, the Butters, the Dersmers, and even through the 2014, 15, 16 stages, we had players develop into players that we actually didn't think. Carl Amon became the player he did, and obviously now went off to Hawthorn. So he's just going to be a massive compliment to each part of the ground, and also be a compliment to off the field as well. We obviously know Horne-Francis as well has Port Adelaide links. He trained with the club in 2021, leading up to the NAB AFL draft, and in the academy. He trained with Jace Burgoyne, which is a great connection for him. He also trained with the club at that time, so he would know some familiar faces coming back. And also off the field as well, family-wise, Fabian Francis as his father. So it's going to be, he has family ties with history of Port Adelaide, so he knows what he's getting into, but also he knows also the playing group and how they're going to be treating him, and the culture that the club will have. And obviously 2022 on-field wise wasn't great, but he came into a club that knows where they stand, know what they need to do, and the fan base are going to be trying to prove that as well. So a massive positive on that aspect as well for Jason Horne-Francis. Which leaves me for the one big final question. What number does he wear at Port Adelaide? I'm going to go with number 6. He was wearing 6 at North Melbourne. 6 has become available thanks to Stephen Motlop. We've had some great 6s in the past with Jared Schofield in particular as well, premiership player. So I think that becomes a real key component. Motlop obviously was a very solid 6 as well, but it will complement having the individual number 6 on the back with the long socks, and him wearing a Port Adelaide Guernsey. And I think it's going to be great to see Jason Horne-Francis playing for Port Adelaide in 2023 and beyond. Well, Port fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments below about Jason Horne-Francis and coming to Port Adelaide. I'm very much ecstatic, as you can tell. It's been a massive couple of days leading up into this deal, and he's obviously the key component of it. So thank you. Well done again to Cripps and Davies and the whole footy department for getting this deal done. Now it's time to get to work with Jason Horne-Francis, who has committed to Port Adelaide to 2028. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new, for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content to come your way across the off-season into 2023. My name is Anthony, and as always, Jason Horne-Francis.